Okay, you guys, I should be back. It should be working. Not sure exactly what happened. I think I was able to resume. Yeah, now it's working. I was able to resume the stream, which was good because I realized I didn't even have my drive that I needed. That I had some of the stuff that I wanted to share with you guys tonight on it. And I'll tell you what, man. For a day that was supposed to be a day off, today turned out to be one hell of a busy day. And moments after the stream from this morning, the tooth. Do you see this? Do you guys see this? Can I cut anybody's hair with this? No, I can't. And you know what happened? I'm an idiot. And I went to pick up some other stuff from the desk, and this thing fell down and broke. And this has been my absolute favorite machine. I'm ready to go back into the shop. We're allowed to open on Monday, and I was planning on using that, and now I'm hoping to get a replacement blade shipped out as soon as possible. And they're doing that. They're hooking it up. So we'll have a new blade out there real soon. But the good news is today in this live, we actually don't need to worry about that. I'm probably going to have to go back and edit that portion out. I don't know what happened, why it crashed. I said to resume, and who even really cares? Let's just get to business. So without any further ado, I should like to run my intro, I guess. Why not? And while I'm running that, I'm actually going to pull up some of this other stuff here. So, boom. All right, man. Now I feel like it's official. Now I feel like I can start. I had to get that out of the way. A little bit of confusion, but we are in the zone again and ready to begin this lesson. So let's get my shear over comb video that I actually want to refer to a few times throughout this. I'm going to actually attempt to remake this shear over comb video. But every time I've tried, it's kind of intimidating because I feel like I really covered a lot of what I wanted to say when I made this video. So, I need to do it better somehow. But that somehow, I'm not sure. Not 100% sure how to make it better. I did that with my clipper over comb video too. Like I went in there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a new updated version of the clipper over comb video. And then I watched it and I was like, you know what? It's pretty good. It's not going to be easy to outdo that video. He said, I feel like I'm about to drive 100 miles an hour with my intro. It's dangerous. You know what, man? I'm still not 100% satisfied with my intro. There's actually some portions of it that I wanted to fix. I wanted to adjust a little bit. But that's just the natural born nitpicker in me. I just want to make everything as perfect as I possibly can, and whatever. So, all right, let's get started by talking about the type of shears we're going to use, the length of shear we're going to use, and what's important when it comes to shears. So I'm actually going to lower this a little bit. So one of the things that's important when it comes to shears is that you are at least getting a 440C Japanese steel. All right. I see Steve saying what's up to my mama. Hey Eddie, just wanted to say thanks for everything you're teaching us. I can't stay and watch you live tonight, but I greatly appreciate you. I greatly appreciate you too. And I know that a lot of you guys are actually here for a second round with me. We went live for 1 hour earlier, so I'm actually going to try to keep this. I'll try to keep this one down to at least an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. So it really helps when everybody donates and stuff like that, but that's awesome. So back to what I was talking about. You want to make sure that you're going to get at least a 440C stainless steel and a Japanese steel, because one of the things that you need to know about shears just a little bit, just not that it's really that important, is there is a Rockwell Hardness to the shear, and there's basically two different ways to make the shears. One is casting and one is forging. And the long and short of this, what I'm just trying to tell you, is if your steel is super hard, it'll hold an edge for longer, but when you drop them, it could become brittle if it gets too hard. And at the other end of the spectrum, if it's too soft, it's too malleable, it won't hold an edge for very long, but it'll take an edge quicker. So if you're using a 440 stainless, your a 440C actually is what it's called, 440C Japanese steel. That's kind of the bare minimum of what you want to go with. Now, I always cut hair with two different types of shears, or two different sizes of shears, I should say, and one pair is usually around 5 inches. I think these are 5.5. So this is a 5.5 inch shear. And if you notice, the blade on this shear is actually really not all that long. I mean, it's about the length of, maybe not even one of my fingers, which makes it perfect for when I'm trying to do dangerous stuff, such as cutting with point cutting or doing any kind of stuff like that. So anyways, is my audio sounding good? Is my camera sounding good? Is everything sound pretty clear? I feel like I got a little bit of a buzz in my headphones, but I don't think that's coming through over there. Oh, you know what? It's my computer. My computer's like, fans are blowing like crazy. Because you got to give it to Apple, man. They make a good product. They literally, I was sitting there just cranking editing for like 6 hours straight. I never even noticed it running. So, all right, let's see. Those are also, yeah, and they're using those on some of the clippers right now, which is kind of cool. It's also kind of interesting too, because they usually use a carbon steel on a lot of those clippers. Somebody messaged me, you guys want to laugh, somebody messaged me earlier this week and they were like, hey, I got a better way to zero gap the fast feeds. And I was like, oh yeah, how's that? And he says, oh, I'm just going to drill a hole, I'm going to slot it. I says, good luck with that, dude. That's carbon steel. There's really only one way to cut that, and that's with a mill. Thank you for the thumbs down. And, so anyways, is shear over comb easier than clipper over comb? Because I don't like using clipper over comb. This is the perfect opportunity to talk about this. And thank you for asking that question, because it leads right into what I'm talking about. So if you notice, when I use clipper over comb, most of the time it's to remove a large section. So I'm getting rid of a section of hair roughly this big, which is almost the full length of the side of somebody's head on both sides. So I can very rapidly get through a lot of bulk very quick, right? And these two techniques are actually pretty similar in a way. Now, you're still coming through, but not on the headset mic. Uh-oh, that can't be good. Says, oh, here we go. Hold up. You hear me now? Oh, God. That's what I'm saying. See, I know I turned something down here. I should have been paying more attention. Okay, so back to what he was saying. Timothy, he asked what the difference between shear over comb is, and can it take the place? In my opinion, it cannot take the place. Shear over comb is more or less for fine-tuning your work, and clipper over comb is for removing large sections. So just in case you guys didn't hear what I was saying, the width of this comb, about this length, is about the same length as the side of somebody's head. So when I put this on the side of somebody's head, I can go through a whole lot more. That staticky noise that you might be hearing, actually, I'm glad I asked about that. I was trying to turn some of that out because my computer's running a mile a minute over here. But so anyways, when I use the clipper over comb, it's to remove a big amount of hair. And now when I use shear over comb, it's usually towards the end of my haircuts when I have just a little bit of work to do and just a little bit of fine tuning just to get that blend a little bit better. So we want to actually use this technique. So the other thing you guys are going to need is you're going to need a longer pair of shears. And this one is, it's actually not that much longer, but it makes a huge difference. So if you look at that, I have a 5.5 inch, and I believe these are actually 7 inches. So in the scissor over comb, a couple of the fundamentals we want to deploy here, okay? We want to make sure that we're holding our shears the right way, especially now. So many people, when they first start, try to hold the shears with these two fingers. I've heard every argument in the book. I've seen people holding them like this. And one thing that's always funny to see, whenever you watch a movie and they have hairdressers in there, I always watch how they hold them. I guess I just can't help it, but I always watch how I hold them, and I'm holding them like, they're always holding them like this. They're never holding them the proper way. So let's get your ring finger in and put your two fingers on the top and your thumb right there. Boom. Oh, and by the way, you guys, if you guys are curious about anything that you see me using or any products or whatever, or any discounts that you might want, I have a full updated list of affiliate links in there. And I want to show you guys a little teaser real quick of a thumbnail that I think is kind of funny. So check it out. All right, there's my thumbnail for leaving Booksy. All right, so I've recently left Booksy for Bookedin, and I'm going to be talking more about this. I'm going to tell you guys exactly why and the reasons to all that and stuff like that. But where are my overlays? So yeah, that's actually going on right now. And why can't I get? Where are you at? Weird. There it is. I couldn't get rid of it for a second. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna be getting rid of. I'm gonna get rid of Booksy. They don't even know the phone call is coming. So the other thing is we want to make sure we're holding our shears correctly. And when we move our shears, we're basically trying to isolate our thumb as we move it. So you see the difference here. I'm not chomping through the hair, even though sometimes I do tend to do that. You're supposed to try to keep this still. And one of the reasons why you're going to keep it still is because if you take your comb and your shear and you move up together, you'll notice that it's actually going to be able to concentrate towards the back of the comb as you move up. So you're able to kind of be more accurate by just kind of seeing what that bottom blade is doing. Now, you want to make sure that your shears are not too loose too. When do you scissor over comb, and how do you know where to do it? I think that's what you're asking. When and where to do it. And that's actually a really important question too, because you need to start to understand when it's time to kind of back off of the clipper when you've done enough, and make sure that you save yourself enough hair to actually still do with the shear over comb or your texturizing shears, which if this item is not currently in your kit, you gotta go ahead and you gotta get this. It's just so hard to get every one of your blends perfect. But one of the other things that's really hard to do is to even the density of a client's hair. So if the client's hair is really thick on one side, you can actually fix that with a pair of texturizing shears. And almost every single client's hair is going to have higher density on some areas and lower density on others. So you're definitely going to need that. But one of the other techniques that I'm going to give you towards the end of this video that I'm going to tell you about is you want to make sure that when you first get started with scissor over comb or shear over comb, you want to use your texturizing shears, because you're not going to make a mistake that you won't be able to fix. The shears, they can be very unforgiving. So one of the exercises you guys could do right now, you guys can just go ahead and you guys could grab your comb, and this is the other side of it too that's really important. I see a lot of people holding their comb like this. Even people who are on like Instagram teaching and stuff, and I don't understand this at all, what the purpose of holding my comb like this would be. This is not good enough, because if I look at my wrist, look at how much movement I have in my wrist, right? That's all I'm getting. So this is only really being able to tilt just a little bit. Now, if I grip it here, I'm going to be able to turn this a full 180 degrees. And this is also important because you're going to have to learn what's called rolling the comb. Let's see here. I need some of those texturizing shears in my arsenal. Well, I'm not 100% sure what I'm giving away tonight, but I'm going to give something away. And as I told you guys, the box is getting low, and the items in the box are getting less cool, if you will. So we can do something though. We'll figure something out. So I was looking at the box and I was like, you know what? With the caliber of stuff I've been giving away all along, I don't want to give away something that's not really worth, much much to me. I want you guys to actually enjoy what you get and, you know, use it and stuff like that. So in any event, is hopefully my stream health is still good and everything is still working properly the way it should, because I'm not seeing some. He's already putting the numbers up. All right, you guys. So let's get this video up and let's get into this. All right, everybody, welcome. So this was a while ago. I'm going to talk to my class here about shear over comb, but I'm actually going to move through this video to some of the key points here. So right here, let's hear some voice. Two pairs of shears. One of these shears is my 9-inch shears. These are going to be the ones that we're going to be using for shear over comb. If you are attempting to use something smaller, like this 3-inch shear, you're going to find it's going to be very difficult to use this technique. Not only is it going to be difficult, it's going to be next to impossible, and it's not going to be efficient. Because if you're trying to use a shear, and that's a good point. That's a good point. Thank you, sir. That's a great point you make right there. Now, one of the reasons why you don't want to use a small shear to do this is just because it's going to be difficult to get much done. You're going to be working in increments that are like this small, and it's just going to be difficult to get it done. So when I have this big full shear, it covers up a good section. Let's just take a break from the video for like 1 second, even though I just turned it on. And I want you guys to get your shears out and get your comb out. Make sure you're gripping your comb properly. Make sure that you can roll your comb like 180 degrees, just like you see me being able to do. I'm going to get up in there, and then there's also going to be a situation where you're going to use the back of your shear to hold your hair. And possibly I can arrange for a tutorial at one of these 8 o'clock lives. Maybe I could do it somewhere in my house that you guys can actually see me demonstrating it other than in the video. But for now, we're going to go back to the video. You're wasting time. You're better off doing the subsection method that we talked about if this is all you have. But if you actually have a barber shear and you want to use this barber technique, then this is what we're going to start talking about here today. You're going to find that this is going to be much more accurate than using the clipper over comb. And every single haircut I do, especially every single fade, I always go through with some scissor over comb to refine it, to smooth it out, and we can engage in several different techniques. So the first one, very similar to how this is what I want you guys to do. Rolling the comb out towards yourself. While you're moving it, put the hair in there. We're going to roll it out towards us. So I'll stop this. So every once in a while, when you're actually doing this technique, you're going to roll the hair towards you a few times, and you're going to comb it back down to reset it. Roll the hair towards you, comb it down to reset it. And trust me, nothing feels more awkward than learning this. You're going to see a lot of barbers who do this technique very fast. You'll see them, you know, they're moving their thumb. I would say the shortest shear that you could get away with for doing this, actually here, I'm about to demonstrate in just a second. The shortest shear that you can use any shear to do this, but if you don't have at least a 7-inch shear, you're probably wasting time, kind of like I was saying in my overweight self. I don't know if you guys noticed, you know, your boy looking swole compared to how I was. No, but if you guys are using a very small shear for this, you're probably better off going back into your subsectioning method, which I showed you guys in the 90-degree shear and comb, where essentially you're going to hold every one of the side sections with your fingers and you're going to cut like this, because you're actually going to wind up moving faster than if you are only taking out a small inch at a time up the side of somebody's head, because we're actually working vertically. We'll talk about that in a second, but we're working vertically. You could do if you felt comfortable for it, but I'm just telling you right now that if all I got is this range of motions compared to this range of motion, I'd rather be able to put my comb right in there, lift up that hair, flip it out towards me, and then begin with my scissor over comb technique. Now, as long as you have your longer shears, you'll also find that it's going to be very easy to start tapering your haircuts. So what that's going to mean is, even though this might be a scissor trim or a long haircut. See, that's what I'm talking about, that resetting it. Now, if I back this up just a tiny bit here, you'll notice that when I work up, it's so easy to. I can't reverse like I can on Final Cut. All men's haircuts should do this to some extent. I see like Justin Bieber or something, and you want to wear your hair all surfer-like or whatever like that. That's one thing. But I'm saying, like, generally the 90% of these people who wear these kind of haircuts, the businessman, the person who combs it back behind the ears, combs all their hair straight back,
these kind of people,
all these guys
are gonna
graduated.
Have their hair tapered.
One of them
usually
owns
in
a
the
shop.
nape and definitely around the sideburn area. Maybe
All
not
of them are
down
pretty
to a
good barbers,
blowout or
too.
down to a
I
skin
don't think
fade or
all of them,
anything
but-
like that. But we're just talking about the business.
I don't think all of them graduated. Not that all of them are not great, but yeah. So, all right, let's see here. Let's move on to an area where I'm actually doing it. Okay.
Is you need to get all this hair going nice and straight and down. So
Yeah, in the video, Steve, where are we at here? You said a 3-inch and a 9-inch. Yeah, that was wrong. I was mismeasuring them. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but that is about the same as my 5-inch. That was probably a 5 or a 4-inch. Now, what I'm telling you guys that you should at least have is you should have like around a 5-inch probably for the top, and a 7 or an 8-inch. I've actually worked with some 9-inch shears before, and they are so big that it actually is a problem where you might even cut your thumb from where you're trying to hold it. Now, the other thing that I mentioned here, if you guys didn't catch it, was this is also a technique that's really going to help you start to learn how to taper your haircut. So what that kind of means is every haircut should be a little bit shorter towards the bottom and blend up into the longer lengths. For the majority of gentlemen's haircuts, people who wear their hair slicked back, people who want to actually keep length on the side, and if you guys need more scissor cutting tutorials and techniques, like when I was talking with Barber on his podcast, those guys are really, really knowledgeable, and they produce some excellent tutorials in that regard. So if you guys want to see more shear cutting stuff, I mean, definitely check it out. I just try to show you guys the basics.
Saturating this hair, because what happens to hair when it begins to dry?
What happens to hair when it begins to dry?
It dries. It's frizzy. Well, it gets frizzy too, but it shrinks, right? As soon as it starts to dry, it starts to shrink. And once it starts to shrink, let's say half of it dries and half of it's wet. What do we have? We have a bunch of different lengths in there, and it'd be impossible to get that all straightened out. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Well, we got sponsors now. That was back when we didn't have no sponsors. All right, so let's go through my own.
What we're gonna do here, in most of these cases, and on a mannequin, it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna establish where we want the length to be. That can be done by simply performing your normal blunt cut, where you're positioning the head down, and you might even have to put your fingers down here so that you can actually push the hair down onto the nape of the neck, and you can trim off the length, okay? This can also be done with trimmers. It can also be done towards the end of the haircut, but it's a good idea to establish a baseline in this haircut. And then further, this client says that they want it off of their ears so that their ears are showing, and we want like a business casual look, okay? Now, on an actual mannequin, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for you to do this, and it's gonna stick out like crazy because of the way these hairs are attached. But generally speaking, what I'll do is I'll pull the ear down, and I'll begin this technique around the ear. What's it called, everybody?
What's it called, you guys?
No, it's not.
What's it called, you guys? What's it called when I go around the ear? I'll wait, because I know I'm about to say it right here. But this is actually a good one. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually do that with this technique. And we got to enter the forged in fire right here. The sound faded out. Oh man, I'm like way behind on these ones here. I see what's going on here. We got. Oh boy, I hope this thing didn't get messed up again. Is everybody here still with me? Oh, he got it. He got it. It's arching. He got it. It's arching. I was getting a little bit nervous. I didn't see any comments coming in for a second, and I was like, oh God, maybe it crashed again. Arching is the answer. Brian, that's very good of you. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually arch with the shears, and for a lot of people who don't do a lot of clipper cuts, that's actually pretty common.
I'm going around the ear. Arching.
That's what I said.
10 hours later.
You guys never would have got that?
What was it?
Arching.
Arching.
It's called arching. When you go around the arch with trimmers or a clipper or with scissors, it's called arching.
What's up, JL?
So
Good to see you.
This is just the same simple technique. We're just going around the ears and we're cutting around. And what I like to do when you can actually move the ears, these ears are affixed to
Montreal,
the
what
head,
up?
so there's nothing I could do. But
Yo,
generally, I
Chad,
pull
what up?
these ears back, and then I comb the hair into the direction so that they can stay there, and I just begin cutting it. Now, it's okay because you're gonna wind up going back through, and you're gonna clean this up anyways. We just roughly want to get rid of some of this hair.
It's so
Because
funny
you
how
have those
challenging
clients
some
out
things
there,
can be with a
and the reason
mannequin.
why I'm doing it like this
Thank
is
you for the
have those
thumb down,
clients
sir.
out there who've requested that they don't want any clippers on their head at all. That's what this is.
There's a
for.
lot of clients out there
Otherwise, it
that
makes
don't
more
want
sense
any
for
clippers
me
on their head,
to
and you
almost
don't even
always
realize this.
Grab my Slimline Pros and just clean up around the ears. I could easily.
You don't even realize this. You could easily do so many of the normal haircuts. If you get comfortable with shear over comb, you can essentially leave a client with almost the exact same haircut, be it a little bit softer of a finish.
If I use the machine.
If I use the
couldn't
shear
use
over
the blow
comb.
dryer near 'em either. Yeah. I don't know.
It's also so important to blow dry your haircuts when you're done. Like if you're really checking for quality.
I would like to hear in the comments. So, anyways, I got my outline roughly trimmed off. So I'm basically ready to start. And I guess it would make more sense for me to show.
Look
it
at my
to you
old logo,
on this
y'all.
side.
Look at my old logo. I just seen that. That was like so amateurish compared to my new one. And I just happen to have a copy of my new one sitting right here. What y'all think? Which one's better? This one or that one? I'm looking at some of this old stuff for the first time in a while. So, all right. Now where we basically are is we've taken care of the perimeter of the haircut and we've gotten rid of some of that bulk. And now we're actually going to begin tapering this haircut. And we're gonna go right on
White
through.
background.
And if you guys have any
Now,
questions,
it's like clipper over comb, scissor over
Go
comb
ahead and
is
ask
not
them.
a one cut fits all. You're gonna have to go back through there a few times, and you're gonna have to clean this up. But what I'd like to do first is I want to basically begin with my comb where I actually want the hair to begin. So like out here, I'm just holding my comb out here because this is basically where I want the hair to start tapering. So I'm just gonna decide how much I want to take off, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is rolling the comb out towards me. I'll position the head down so it's nice and easy to get to. Now I can roll that comb out towards me, and I can begin cutting and lifting. Cutting and lifting at the same time, and then I can hold my guide with the back of the shears, hold my guide with the back of the shears, and work my way up. You see me travel up that section pretty fast. It was pretty easy, okay?
are you guys referring to my old clipper over comb video? Because I didn't even realize you guys knew that existed. Like it was such a long time ago that I made that video. But this is the thing about doing barber videos is the information is still relevant. So now that we've sort of established the very first part of the cut, I still remember this like it was yesterday. All right, if you guys want to ask any questions, we'll hop back into it. We're going to start rolling the comb out. I'm going to start going to it, but I still remember this like it was yesterday. And if there's one little piece of knowledge that I want to impart on you guys tonight is it will not feel comfortable at first. I remember my teacher standing behind me saying, "You're doing great, Edward. You're doing great." And she used to call me Weasel. She used to be like, Weasel. That's how she always used to call me. One day I'm going to bring her on the show. She actually called me the other day. But anyways, she's like, "You're doing great. You're doing great." And I remember really clearly, I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I was making the motion she told me. I was doing the things she told me. But I was just not feeling the confidence that she felt for me at the time.
You're
So
gonna find that it's gonna be fairly accurate too. And even though I've only done one pass, I'm gonna go back through, I'm gonna do another pass, and I'm just gonna even that all up and make sure that I didn't miss anything. You will be surprised how accurate you are, and if you wanna know how accurate you are, you're just gonna have to take a section out here and hold it out with your fingers. And if you could see that there isn't giant long hairs here or anything like that, you're gonna see that.
And that's the thing about it. This is a softer finish. And if you actually see just the silhouette of the area that I just did, now it's definitely going to be a good idea for you guys to get a mannequin to work on this. This is one of the great techniques that you can actually use a mannequin for. Because if you are just going to try to practice this on regular people, you're just not going to get the reps in that you'll need. You can buy some cheap mannequins, and it's very, very similar to talk about
It's nice and
that.
straight, it's nice and clean. Okay? And I can transition this length all the way up into the top, and if I look closely at the camera, you can pretty much see where I left off. Okay, you can see where the hair is short and nice all the way up until I get to about right here, which is where I started leaving off. And this mannequin's had like a perm or something like that, so it's not as easy to see, but you can pretty much see where some of that long hair is starting. If I show you on the side here, you can see where some of that long hair is starting. So right where I...
That's the thing about this technique too. Once you understand what you're looking for, if you spray a client's hair thoroughly and you comb it down, you're going to see every long section, and you could literally go right to the sections and you can hit it with the shears, and you can be super, super accurate and detailed. So like if you only want to do one little small area, you can do that.
I left off. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm actually not going to go up super high on the head. I can continue moving up. And like I said, you see me moving fast, but there's actually nothing fast about how I'm moving because it doesn't really matter. Now you'll see me tipping the comb on the side. I have a guide right here where I just began, and I'm shaping it to the head. So it's fine. Down here, it's especially safe to cut, and I'm using my pinky again. If you can see, I'm using my pinky again for myself to go ahead.
I'm glad I'm watching this video too, because I totally forgot about how I used to break this
down. I
down.
don't have to move this comb right now. I can just cut what sticks out. I can cut what sticks out. I'm not even moving the comb.
JL, I'm seeing your question here. I've seen people say take on dry cuts. Have you used this method before? What is the significance? I'm not sure what they mean by take on dry cuts, but absolutely imperative that you dry your cut afterwards, because as soon as you dry it, you're going to be able to see exactly where your mistakes are. But as a general rule of thumb, and we were talking about this earlier, when you wet your client's hair down and you cut with the shears, it does two good things for you. One, it kind of makes the hair a lot more malleable and workable, but two, it stops your shears from getting dull as well. And I'm not really sure exactly why they would say to either cut it dry or to use that terminology.
I mean, there's nothing to it. Once I slide it in and I position it
Jay
properly,
Beats and Waves, you know how many people asked me if mannequin's hair grows back?
So I just keep lifting. Just keep lifting. Nothing needs to be fast about this. You'll see people moving fast because they've practiced a lot. But until you practice a lot, don't move fast. There's no need for it. Look how slow you can move. You can move as slow as you want.
This is probably the hardest thing to understand.
There's
so many times where people think that they got to move fast because they see the pros, they see people just slinging hair and just ripping through it. But you don't have to move fast. You can still move. But the thing is, you need to just be moving a little bit. And you don't really need to move until that section's cut.
You begin lifting. Now I can comb all
cut,
this hair
lift,
out,
roll,
right?
reset.
If I just get out of the way. I can comb all this hair out. And look.
It looks
at how
good.
Nice and straight this is. On this side profile. You can see that all this hair is being cut accurately. Now, another way that I could have done it, I could have went through and held all these subsections and subsections and subsections and drove myself.
And you can kind of see when I do hold out the subsections, you could see that the finish on that is really soft. And one of the other great things about shear over comb is you're putting very, very little tension on the hair itself. So when you cut it, it's actually being cut more along the lines of as it lays, because everybody knows that wet hair has much higher elasticity. So if you stretch wet hair out, it's going to actually get cut and then dry. So when we actually are holding it so loosely in the shear over comb, it's not going to actually shrink as bad because of the fact.
And also put extra strain on this hand and in this hand, because now I'm squeezing the scissor, causing carpal tunnel over the years, and I'm holding the hair, which is also causing me issues over the years in my wrists and in my tendons. So I can reduce all that, and I'm also reducing the potential of me cutting my finger, because if I'm holding my section like this, I'm moving quick, and we all know, we've all done it, we've all cut our fingers.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Whenever you guys are doing your 90-degree section, you
don't
can
do
see,
that.
I got my guy
Don't do
right
that.
here.
That was actually a student I was working with shortly after teaching this class, and the first thing he did was cut his finger like 1 minute into it. All right, so right here you can actually see as I work this around the left side of this person's head. If I work this alongside the mannequin's head here, you can see towards the end of that section that's short, and you can see right what's long, and it's getting very easy to start following
How much
along
needs to
now.
be cut right there. It's very easy to see this. I'm just trying to find the right view. I see my guide. It's falling out of my comb, which I'm going to let my guide fall out, and if you wanted to, you could simply just hold it right here and you could cut it. This is not going to hurt you anything. Look at how slow, lifting it little by little, coming up, and cutting it. That's
The
not
best
gonna
thing
hurt
about
you
shear
at
over
all.
comb is you
If
don't have to
it
cut too
accurate
much.
the first time, it's okay, because all that hair that's around that area you initially worked in is becoming a guide as we move. So as I go around this section, I'm shaping it to the side of the head, I'm following the head, and in a 90-degree haircut, no matter where I pull this hair out, the hair needs to be held straight out for it to be 90 degrees, right? So no matter where I pull this hair out, it all is the same length. And I want you guys to watch out on the state board for that question that they say, what haircut is all hair cut the same length? And a lot of people will say,
Yeah, this is a good one. I almost forgot about this. Okay, what haircut is all the hair the same length? Can anybody tell me the answer to that? What haircut is all the same length? And this is something that they'll challenge you with on your state boards. I know that a lot of people in here are already barbers, but this is one of those questions.
blunt cut. But there's nothing the same about every
But a lot of people will say the wrong thing. They'll say the blunt cut.
and a blunt cut. Not sure how well you can see this, but this is a blunt cut example. We have the blunt cut. And as you look at the hair in the nape, it's only an inch long. You have hair that's connected to the apex, which is the highest point on the head. Again, found by balancing a comb, tipping it back and forth on the top of the head to find the apex of the head, the highest point on the head. That hair that's attached to the apex is something like 8 inches long versus the hair that's attached to the nape, which is only about 1 inch long. Vastly superior technique, much faster, much more accurate, and had I not been sitting here jabbering on, I could have been done with this in 5 minutes, which is great because it will maximize your profit. So, anyways,
Exactly. It's super important.
I'm not even moving the comb much, just moving it up a little bit and making sure that all that hair is held out straight.
And there's the
The other
correct
great part
answer
about this
for anybody who's still
is-
thinking about that.
The hair is being held with no
And
tension.
you know, it's kind of funny that you say a buzz cut also, and you say all even. Believe it or not, all three of you guys are correct. A buzz cut is a form of the 90-degree haircut. It just means that the hair is directed straight out from where it grows, and it's all cut the same length. And if my other camera is pointing at my board, let's see what it's looking at. Oh boy, it's upside down. All right, so I'm going to flip that. Let's jump over to this camera for a second. And remember, the way this show got off, it's actually starting to settle into a nice rhythm here. But boy, did we get off on a shaky ground here. Let's go back over to this camera. All right, and I know it's a little crooked, so let me see if I can just straighten this out. Okay, just to explain to you guys what 90 degree actually means. It is important that you understand this. It just means straight out. And the way we came up with that wasn't just some arbitrary number. It's based on a protractor. It's 0, 180, and obviously we have 45. That's for the graduated. But what we're concerned about right now is the 90 degree. So 90 degrees just means that anywhere on the head. So if I took this marker and I put it on the side of my head like this, that's still at 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Now notice how it's following the same shape as my scalp all the way around. That means that if my head was a perfect circle, that if I could draw a perfect circle, no matter where I was, it would be, that looks like a donut. I'm getting hungry. I skipped lunch. But no, so it would be the same no matter what. Now, what thing you got to watch out for is when you think you're at 90 degrees and you're not. So if I have the hair directed straight out from here and I decide to direct it back and cut it into this subsection, now, once it comes back forward, it's going to be super long. Nothing like the rest of the hair. So the only haircut that all the hair is the same length is actually the 90 degree. And it's a clever little question, really, that they love to put on the state board. They love to put that on the state board. Perpendicular is a great word to use for that. So perpendicularity is a machinist term, and this is actually its symbol, but it just stands for basically there's a 90 degree angle to be had here. So that's basically the long and short of it. And when we are doing shear over comb, the thing that's so great about the fact that when we're doing shear over comb is we're holding it loose. Now, if I hold hair with a lot of tension, it's going to snap back, especially when it's wet, right? And if I hold hair with almost no tension or little tension, it's actually going to be a lot more universally, I meant to say uniform. It's going to be more uniform once it's complete. You can kind of check it out, and that's why you need to dry it. It's why you need to dry it, because if you don't dry it, you'll never really know how perfect your haircut was. You won't really know. So let's go back over.
using the comb versus using the finger and shear method, I might be adding a lot of tension here and pulling the hair and stretching it. And
Donald, I want to answer this for you real quick. When do you use 90 degrees and 45 degrees and why? Okay, these degrees. Okay, so essentially, let's just talk about this for one more second here. If all the hair was to hang straight down, okay, that would be 0 degrees. So if I put the protractor and you see me draw it back on the side of my head once again, it would be at 0 degrees. The only thing that it means when we begin to layer hair is it means that we're beginning to lift it beyond 0. Okay, so we came up with the protractor. Well, not we, but the protractor itself is just a tool that we use to measure angles, and angles are how we create consistency. And the angles reflect to certain different types of haircuts. So 1, 0 is a blunt cut. When we use 45 degrees, that's when we're trying to get like a graduated haircut or a woman's bob or something of that nature, right? 90 degree is generally a men's haircut, and 180 degree is what you see most women running around with who have long hair. Most of them have some form of a long layer haircut. So I hope that answers your question, and it's a good question.
Stretch and return how much of its original length?
Oh, I'm about to talk about that.
With this in 5 minutes, which is great because it will maximize your profit. So, anyways, I'm not even moving the comb much, just moving it up a little bit and making sure that all that hair is held out straight. The other great part about this is the hair is being held with no tension by using the comb versus using the finger and shear method. I might be adding a lot of tension here and pulling the hair and stretching it, and hair with good elasticity can stretch and return how much of its original length?
What's the answer, guys?
Wow, crickets. Crickets. So anyways, I could be putting more
50%
tension on this, and hair that is wet with good elasticity can stretch and return more than half of its original length. Like, you don't see me cutting with my hair way up high on the comb, right? Just like in clipper over comb cutting, we don't cut until it hits to the bottom of
This is important, okay? Once it hits the bottom of the shear, that's when you begin to cut. Okay? Once it hits the bottom of the shear. So when we go in to do our shear over comb, we're not hammering at the top. And this is a real important key, because if you are using your shear over comb and you're all the way up here, you're this high up on the comb, you could slip so easy behind the comb and hack somebody. And I've done this a bunch of times, especially when I was learning. He said, oh, 5%. My man Ricky is getting scientific. It stretches and returns 5%. Okay, so anyways, what I was basically saying is if this slips and falls behind your comb, you're dead meat. You are dead meat. And I always thought that, and this is what the book says. I always thought that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but who knows?
That's a really key point, and I probably should have said it sooner. But once I start lifting, the hair is not really being directed out to 90 degrees. It could be in here, but it's not being directed out to 90 degrees yet. And it's okay if you cut it. It doesn't really matter. I just want to go over to the board for 1 second. Okay? If all the hair is being directed out to 90 degrees, that means
someone's got a cough in this room.
Out,
nowadays, this was filmed a couple years ago, but nowadays,
it straight out, that's 90 degrees, that's 90 degrees. That's
somebody coughs, they get shot. So I'm basically explaining the same thing that I just explained to you guys, so I'm going to skip this. You know what? This is actually important. Watch this little bit here. This is something that I didn't do on the board, because I'm not sure if you're going to understand this, but just watch and listen for a second.
That's 90 degrees, that's 90 degrees. The whole point is to get that uniform layer cut, right, in an easier way. Now, what if you were directing the hair straight out at 90 degrees here, but you had also included some of the hair from here and some of the hair from here? So in other words, you had a very wide section, right? Everybody following me so far? I want you to understand
pay attention
that
right
the
here.
only hair being directed at 90 degrees is right here and right here. About the width of whatever comb you're using, assuming you're not using a wide tooth comb. In this case, I'm talking about
the
finger
thumbs
and shear
up.
cutting, and when finger and shear
Thank you,
cutting, I'm
guys.
talking about using your normal hair cutting comb, which is only a 1/2 inch wide. So a 1/2 inch wide of this section is the only area that's being cut to 90 degrees. Now this hair that's coming all the way from here, what's it going to be when it comes back?
Are you guys following this? This is key.
It's going to be longer, which is why it doesn't matter that it's being cut, because you're not cutting it too short. But if that's all you did and you thought that this section was going to be all good, it's not going to be all good. It's actually going to look something like this when you comb it all out. Right? It's going to look where the hair was actually cut to 90, and then the two areas that were just directed over are going to show you that V right there. Hope you guys
That's
follow
why
me
this
here.
is important.
So in order
That's
to
why
actually
this
cut
is
the-
important. Because you'll see barbers and you'll see stylists holding gigantic sections. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because we want to try to get this haircut done as quickly as possible. But if you hold a gigantic section, you need to understand that only a portion of that section is actually going to be cut at 90 degrees. So for instance, let's say that my thumb was the point that the 90 degree was coming from. So straight out from there. But I combed in all this extra hair. So now I have this big section. Well, guess what? As soon as I'm done cutting it, look at how much longer it's still going to be. So to understand haircutting in a good way, and that's why it's so important to take this from the cradle to the grave, to start with the blunt cut, to start with the sectioning, to start with understanding those basics, because when you try to jump into some kind of advanced form of learning and you didn't build a solid foundation, it just makes it difficult and you're going to struggle. And that's why it's just so important to know where the hair is coming from, so that later when you begin to break rules, you at least know the rules before you break them.
Beside this section at 90 degree, this section, it's okay if you hold a lot of hair, but you have to realize that that is the only hair that's being cut to 90 degrees. So when you're doing your finger and shear sectioning, you're keeping that 90 degrees. You can hold as much hair as you want, but that's why we start off with sectioning and subsectioning, you guys, so that you understand that that hair is coming from this part of the head, this part of the head, this part of the head. And then as you go on and we get more knowledgeable about the techniques and stuff, you understand this stuff and you're able to hold bigger sections, do things faster, and do less subsectioning as well. Before I go any further into this part, I want you guys to be cautioned now, because we have the bangs to consider now, okay? So if I just lift up and start hacking these.
Okay, so now this is another key point. You need to make sure that the bangs are not being cut when you go around the front of somebody's hair. This is especially in men's hair cutting. As soon as I come around them bangs, boop, you could chop off somebody's bangs who actually might wear bangs, and in which case you might upset somebody greatly. So we definitely want to be careful when it comes to that. Let's go back to here and see if that still keeps me in there.
Lift up and start hacking this away because I'm doing shear over comb. I'll show you the mistake that you could easily make right now. So I lift up, I'm doing shear over comb, everything's cool. Whoop, oh. All of a sudden, I just cut right into the bangs, right? I just cut right into the bangs. So now I've left myself with a mess, which means that when I come into this section, before you're going to do this area, it would make a lot more sense for you to just section off this bang section and cut the bangs on the top using your finger and shear method, the way you should. So, if you got just a second here, take a clip of some kind, it really doesn't matter what, and now you're free to just go and cut the way you want to cut. Essentially, what you're seeing is all the hair that's being cut is at the bottom of the comb, okay? My shear, when it moves, notice the bottom doesn't move.
It is a good idea to do that. There's nothing wrong with working in panels or sections or anything like that. Guess what? I got our giveaway item here. Can anybody just guess what it is? I'm just going to be honest. This is a good giveaway item, and it's probably the last one for at least the next couple lives or something like that, unless I find something laying around, which sometimes I do. You never know. But it's always a good idea to work in a way that you can understand, and if sectioning things out helps you a little bit, then definitely go ahead and do that. Definitely go ahead and do that. And after a certain point of practicing for a while, you're actually going to find it very easy to stay uniformed and to work your way through this. Do I ever leave the bangs for last? Generally speaking, I don't. I like to, we talked about this one night, and I think you were here when I was talking about cutting the top with scissors. A lot of times what I like to do is I like to address the bang length. If a client wears a bang, address the bang length, cut the interior length, and then blend the exterior length into the interior length, which we'll cover if we ever cover the 90-degree thoroughly on this channel. I would like to cover that. Absolutely. Shear Police shears. I have news for you. It is not Shear Police shears. I wish it was, but I can't afford to give away those shears. Those shears are dear to me. She said the masters, they're
That's
not.
because this part of my hand is held really still. And this part is the area that's moving. So that essentially, these two can be parallel with each other, and the back of this shear and the bottom of that comb are basically going to stay right next to each other. So as I move up, I can begin rolling out. Okay? Good question. Okay, he just asked if I could use a styling comb to do the same thing. I absolutely could, but I would caution you this. When I'm moving up with scissor over comb, as long as I'm being careful, using any comb is not going to hurt. But if I have a wider comb, I have a less chance of making this mistake where I fall.
A more accurate way to answer your question would be, I did disappear. I'm sorry, Ricky. I was here. I was here the whole time. So I did walk away for a second. I'm not even gonna lie. Hey, what up, Chev? Chev's in the house. So I should still be here, right? Everybody's still. Oh God, I hope it doesn't freeze again, right after all this. Oh God, I'm still here, you guys. I'm still here. All right, cool. I'm back. All right, I don't know what happened. Maybe the stream froze for just a second. I think I lost some people, but that's good for those of you who stayed because I'm about to give something away. And there was like 60 people in the room just a second ago, and now there's like 42. I do that to shake you guys up, to get rid of some of the bad subscribers so that the good ones can win the giveaway. You see that? I did that. That's funny. All right, cool. So everybody's back. Everybody's good. And I was answering a question for Donald, and he was basically asking if I over-direct in the bang area to try to create an increase in length. And the answer is you absolutely could take the bangs, and you could direct them all the way back to the apex if you want. And once you cut that, you'd have sort of like a bouffant kind of shape where it would get longer towards the top. So when I have a client who really likes to leave a lot of length in the front, I will use that technique. I will. But I do prefer to address the bang length, address the interior length, and then blend the interior to the exterior. I just think that's the best way to do it. And we will cover that some more in probably one of the next lessons. It's something that I need to talk about, and I think it's important. I think a lot of people don't understand it too thoroughly. So, all right. Montrell. All right, you guys. So I want to jump back to the video. Let me see what I had left in this video.
And I'm going quick, and I'm trying to balance it. I'm trying to balance the shear and the comb together, right? And I don't have that width that I need. So I do prefer, when the situation calls for it, to use a wider comb because it stops me from going up to put my shear. I'm going up to balance my shear on that comb, and I wind up behind it, and you make a cut. Now, if we wound up behind it when we were making a cut, I would just be cutting, oh, everything's good, and boom, I wind up behind it, and I make a cut. It's a lot easier to reduce your mistakes. I don't your mistakes when you're using a wider comb.
It's funny. You could easily do this.
At the same time,
you could make this mistake so easy if you're not careful.
Anything till it falls to the bottom of this comb, You're not cutting anything till it falls to the bottom.
I realize that it mutes me when I
Otherwise,
close that
you're cutting
screen.
hair that is not at 90 degrees, like we talked about in that section. So the other way that you'll see a lot of useful shear over comb is with a taper comb. Does somebody have a taper comb, please? Okay. Now this is really going to help you when you're
The taper
this is a
comb,
weird looking taper.
and the type of comb that you're going to use is going to be due to the level of how fine you're trying to work. You know, if you're trying to work with small, fine sectioning, and especially this is perfect to talk about when we're doing tapers, when we're doing temple fades and stuff like that, into some longer lengths, it's definitely helpful to use a taper comb which is smaller, which can help you identify just really small areas. And when I have my large comb, that's usually when I'm trying to get rid of a lot of the bulk, and I'll always switch to that smaller comb when I'm done. Then the other thing is we want to try to practice. So this is the homework I'm going to give you guys tonight. Then I'm going to do the giveaway. Then I'm going to get out of here, and then we're going to do another lesson on this topic because it's a big topic and it requires a lot of. I think we got a lot of places to go, and it's such a refreshing thing for me to watch that video again. I sort of realized like how much more memory recall I had when I was teaching every single day. I was able to just access all that information because I dealt with it so much. So even just seeing some of those little keys helps me to teach it because it gets harder to teach it the better you get at it. The brace of the pinky, this is what I want you guys to practice. If you can, get a mannequin and practice. I use my pinky to create some distance, and again, I treat my comb like it's immovable. Never bang into your comb and chop away, and try to do some practicing. Try to get yourself a mannequin and get ready for one of the next lessons, because in one of the next lessons, I want you guys to try to maybe practice along with me or practice shortly after, and we can really start to kind of hone in on where you guys are making mistakes and stuff like that. So a smaller comb is going to be great for using it in the tapers and in those fine tuning and those fine details. And a larger comb is certainly going to help you with getting rid of some of that bulk and getting in there. And then again, it's very important that you have some texturizing shears. I actually have another pair of texturizing shears here, which I use, and these are also a Japanese 440 stainless. But if you guys could see, these take out a good amount of hair. But they leave a good amount of hair too. And these are like chunking shears, and they could really give a lot of movement to the look. And there's something I use when somebody wants to have a lot of movement on top. 3 lives. I gotta be crazy. I don't know what happened to that other live. I'm gonna go back and delete that. It was like 4 minutes of just nonsense. I was like pulling my hair out trying to get this live ready and give you guys a good show, and I totally edited way too long and forgot what time it was. But this morning we did a live for an hour. I did a walkthrough of a skin fade. I used a little bit of shear over comb, and I showed you guys how I used it in that case. So I've never seen that exact comb. Maybe I have. I might not be familiar with that. What you're asking there, I might not be too familiar with that. He said it looks like a shear for a ninja. All right. Cool. Okay, I want to ask you guys if you have any questions or anything like that so far, feel free to ask them away right now. I'd love to answer some of your questions, whatever you might have about the topic, and let's hash that out. Let's get some of this learning done, and I'm definitely going to put together some notes from this section. And I'm going to put it down below to remind myself what we talked about, and we can pick up shear over comb from this video and keep going. Because if I keep talking for like 2 or 3 hours, you're not going to be able to watch this. So let's just do this in 1 hour increments, and we'll go back. And I think I'm going to try to hunt down a mannequin, and maybe I'll even try to do some techniques and some cutting in here and try to show you guys everything I know, because it's easier for me to explain things when I'm doing them, while I'm doing them, because I just don't even think about little things like the brace for my pinky and the way that I hold the comb, and just like little things when I'm in the moment. I start to remember that stuff. But when I was teaching every single day, I would come into contact with the exact same problems, and I would develop solutions for them, and they would essentially get solved one after another pretty quickly, because once I realized I found some techniques that worked to teach, I would just kind of keep refining them and kind of teaching them and changing them a little bit. I love my chunking shears for guys with extra thick hair. And this is a good point. Thank you, Angelina. When you are about to cut somebody's hair and they have an ungodly thick amount of hair, thin it out before you go start cutting it. Why are you going to cut all of it and then thin it out later? Thin it out first, remove some of that bulk, and then go back through. Synthetic mannequins, absolutely. Absolutely. Steve, you can get a pair of shears that you don't care about. You can go to your local Sally's and buy yourself or whatever your local barber supply is, and buy yourself like a cheap pair of shears that you plan on throwing away. And of course, these techniques are still going to be implemented. Sword blades. Sword blade shears, are they any good for shear over comb? I'm sure they would be fine. I think every shear, there's going to be some differences. Obviously, if you have some high-end shears, you're going to have more long life, better lasting, but they're going to be fine. Yeah, you can use any shear. 7 inches. I have a smaller hand. It doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't really matter what size hand you have. You're still going to want a longer shear when you're using it for shear over comb. And that's why I always use 2. You have one that's around 5 inches, 4 inches, and you have one that's around 7 or 8 inches. And again, you can try putting it in your palm, and you can just put it right all the way back and go right up to your middle finger. Okay, it shouldn't extend beyond your middle finger, technically, and that would be a fit. But that's like I said, those are just guidelines. And this pair of shears is not Shear Police, and it's got an opposing grip on it. So an opposing grip puts a lot of strain on your fingers, but it's okay for shear over comb. It's not as comfortable as the Shear Police comb. The Shear Police shears. So the Shear Police, if you notice, they're tipped sideways. This is called a crane grip, and it has a crane grip, and it also has a swivel thumb, which means that my hand is essentially in the relaxed position, and if I slide these on here, boom, we're set. So my hand doesn't even really need to change a whole lot. Like if I just relax my hand and I slide this one in there, I gotta grip it. I gotta grip it a little funny. But I got a lot more to say on this topic. I wish that I could get everything I want to say out in one live, but I can't. I promised my son I'd watch the rest of Harry Potter with him, and I'm definitely going to watch the rest of Harry Potter with him, which means that you guys are going to have to hold your questions for either down below, which I'll still answer them, and if you guys want, we're going to do another lesson on this. I think I'm going to start putting some votes up on my community tab. I was thinking about this earlier. I'll get some votes going on some topics that you guys want covered, and you guys can just pick from maybe a couple things. So I see that we've been on like a shear trajectory. Once I get my Shear Police shears in the mail, I would like to revisit some of that stuff too, because I want to show them to you guys. But we can kind of talk about whatever topic we want. I think tapers, and that neck taper has to be something we talk about soon, because it's literally something that almost every single customer needs. So yeah, I got dad duties too, man. I got kids, I'm just like a lot of you guys. I'm out here just trying to do it, trying to make a better living for my family, just like all you guys are. And that's why I love you guys, because I know the reason you're here. The reason you're here is to change your life for the better, to learn a new skill, and to maybe get out of a bad situation, or a place that you want to be out of. What are 8-inch shears you's got? I think he's asking what 8-inch shears. A lot of companies carry shears. Some of them don't really go up to 8 inches. So I mean, I would say 7.5. That's fine. They'll be great. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to start thinking a little bit more about what you want your lessons kind of formed around, please just leave it in the comments on some of my other videos too. I'm definitely going to read it. I'll definitely check it. But also check my community tab, because I'm going to be putting up some votes. So now. Okay, listen, man. When I send stuff away, generally, when I send stuff away to people, I like to just send it away to wherever they are. Now, I've had to send some packages to some faraway places that cost me a lot of money. And to be honest, with the way things are going, if one of you guys wins from somewhere super far away, please let's see if maybe you can help me with the shipping, because this is kind of a heavy package. All right, what do you guys think's in here? If I was to just show you, let's see. I think I just showed it to you. I just showed it to you. What's in here? I'm withholding it. Oh yeah, and happy Mother's Day to you guys too. Yeah, I forgot. We're getting pretty close to Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful mothers out there. There's really no better thing in this world, I think, than having a kid and just experiencing all that joy. So I never really understood the whole don't want to have kids thing. For me, I always knew I wanted to have kids, and you know I'm super happy that I did. But it's almost the most beautiful thing in the world that you never knew that you needed. It's funny. I wish it was an ergo clipper. I really wish it was an ergo clipper. All right. Somebody's almost got it. It's not a senior. All right. You guys listen. I've given it away before. Okay. Oh, Juan got it. Juan got it. He called it. He didn't win it, but he called it. All right, you guys. So what I just happen to have is this is probably the last caliber item that I'll have to give away, and I actually managed to find the charger too. But they're probably not going to send me stuff no more because I'm not sponsored by them. But I just want you guys to know that I still think they're a good company, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with their stuff. I definitely should have done a review video or a comparison video between these two, and I'm probably going to regret getting rid of it because of the fact that I won't be able to do the comparison, but I'll have to remember mentally what I felt was different about the two. But there's actually a lot there's a lot of similarities between these, but when you get down to this one's a little heavier. It's noticeably heavier. It feels longer, but it really isn't. They're actually about the exact same length. The lever movement on the ergo is a lot smoother than this, but I shouldn't say that because I barely ever use this. It's like brand new. And you know, the thing that I've noticed that is seemingly better on the Gamma is the blades that they sent me on the Gamma, and everything about the Gamma performed a little bit easier than the caliber. But I want you guys to realize too that they sent me prototypes and stuff too. So it was pretty much, you know, you never really know. I might have gotten one that wasn't the greatest compared to all the other ones. Look at that. We got 70 people in here all of a sudden. That's awesome, man. Someday I'm going to have a live, and I want to have 100 people in the live the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, my thoughts on the new 50 cal mag, we can definitely talk about this in another video, because like I said, I got to go watch Harry Potter, and it's getting later by the minute. But my thoughts, just to sum it up, basically are they kind of pulled a little bit. I had some issues with them. They sent me another one. The other one worked a little bit better. I liked it. It was cool. And then I kind of started getting in touch with Gamma. Gamma sent me some stuff, and I liked it a little bit more, so I wound up kind of sticking with Gamma. But again, they're a good company. And, man, I'm about to give away something that's really nice and valuable. You're going to thumb me down? You guys need to thumb this thing up. Let's get 66 likes up in this thing, and this thing is gone. So as soon as you guys back out, hit that like button, back in, and we got 67 likes. This thing is gone. And I'm going to... You know, that is true. Like these do sort of slip a little bit more, but I put the grip on these. You wouldn't ever really need the grip on these. These they don't slip out of your hand. Like I don't ever really feel like these are slippery or that they're gonna fall or anything like that. Probably the shape of this is another reason why I like it. And if you have smaller hands too, this thing's like a cigar. I mean, if you got smaller hands, you're gonna like this too. And you know, it's just ergonomically, it's got a good feel to it. It's got a good feel to it. Which, you know, again, for anybody who's in here who might not know, if you guys use my code Eddie with Gamma, you'll get 10% off and free shipping. So they're gonna hook you up. Plus, they got the Ergos dropping in June, and you guys can actually pre-order those. And they got the Evos coming soon, which I'm really excited about. And also, I'm supposed to get a pair of the Alphas too soon, and a new electric shaver. So they got a lot of good stuff in the pipe. I'm really looking forward to what Gamma's doing. All right, we got 57 thumbs up. We got 67 people in here. You know what's funny is somebody turned their thumb down into a thumb up. I had 3 thumbs down, and all of a sudden they went north. All right, we got to get about 8 more thumbs up. This thing is gone. So I'm getting some notifications from my new Bookedin app. Yo, Bookedin is dope. I love it. I left a link for Bookedin. If you guys are thinking about switching to appointments, which is a really smart thing to do at this time, we got to limit the amount of people in the shops, man. We can't be walking no more. And believe me, I was walking, and I'm so happy that I went to appointments before all this. But even if you didn't, this is a perfect time to just go to an appointment app. And if you guys want to go to Bookedin, you guys can check it out for free. If you use my code, you get a little discount. It's pretty dope, man. I would love to start supporting this company. They're like a smaller mom and pop outfit, and I talk with them, and they're just really, really nice people. So it's nothing like when I dealt with Booksy, which I am going to tell that story. Me and Booksy, we are going through a divorce right now, and it really is that. It really is that. And I'm going to explain my side of the story and why I left. And for anybody who's curious about that, I definitely can't wait to kind of enlighten you guys and tell you, because there's definitely some things. About books that you got to be careful about with that boost feature, man. I don't want to see anybody making the same mistake I did. So, we got 63. We're supposed to have 67. But I'm going to do some stuff. Let me think if I could do this some other way. I would really love to give it to one of you guys who's in here all the time. But that wouldn't be fair to those of you who just joined new. So I need to come up with maybe a better way to do my giveaways. But what if I had... what if I did something interesting here? I'm trying to just think if I could do something a little more different. But who are you telling I'm 33? I'm actually about to be 33. Matter of fact, I turned 33 in June 22nd. I'm 32. But I was talking with a 22 or 23-year-old earlier today, and they're like, "Man, you must feel like you're 100 years old now." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. All right, so it's time now. I think we're at 65. That gets me pretty close. So let's see here. We'll make this number. You guys can't see the number I'm writing here. I'm going to write a number on this board. And let's see. How many people? 61? There's 61. So we'll say somewhere between, and nothing. Just so you guys know, if you guys start writing stuff now, it doesn't count till I put my comment down below. A pop question. A pop question? That'd actually be kind of funny. That would be kind of funny. Could I really just no, because you guys will all Google it. I don't trust you guys. You guys will just Google it. I could ask a hair question. But that wouldn't be all right. You guys want a pop question from a previous live? Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. If I could remember my previous lives. All right, let me go through some of my previous lives. Maybe we won't do the thing. We won't do the thing. We're actually going to do some pop quiz from a previous live. All right, let's see here. I'm looking through my video list. I'm looking through my lives, and I'm trying to decide what we should do. I don't know, guys. I don't know of any questions. Okay, you know what? I will ask this. I will ask this, okay? This one here, rather than the arbitrary number, this one here should be fairly straightforward. And whoever wants to, let's see, no pop question, a pop question from today's class. It would be fair if it was from today's class. 10 seconds to answer. Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be different. The response time is different. Yeah, I don't want to exclude anybody who just joined either. He's gonna live. Let's just do the number game. We'll just do the number game. We'll give it away that way. We got to come up with something better though. We need a better system. We got a crappy system. All right, I'll be the first to admit that when it comes to giving this stuff away, we got a terrible system. Y'all can't see this, right? I'm writing a number. Okay, and just to be honest, remember when you won? Remember when you won and it was 17? I'm not gonna pick 17 again, but that was because I had my 17.5 Voitinger lens right there. I just seen 17 and it made me think I'm gonna get it. So, all right, we're gonna pick a number. Let's make it interesting. Let's make it interesting. Let's do. Actually, I'm going to pick a different number. I don't like that number. I'm picking a different number. Okay. I picked my number. I'm satisfied. I want you guys to pick a number. There's 64 people in the room. Pick a number between 1 and... How many is there? 64 people? 66. There's 66 people. And it starts... now. Boom. There we go, guys. Good luck. Wish luck to all of you guys. I wish I could send one to all of you. Who knows, man? If this YouTube channel gets big enough, I want to be the most generous YouTuber on the face of the earth. I really do. I want to give away as much as I possibly can. Okay, let's see. Moving our way through. I don't see it. Well, let's see. I know you guys are putting in a ton of numbers here. All right. And there is still not seeing it. Big Dog Manny 10K. I was rooting for you, dude. I think you're you're young, right? You're like 16 or something. All right, guys, we got a winner. Let's stop. Okay. Congrats to Manny. Let's put his thing back up there. Congrats, bro. Okay, Manny. You got it, man. You got it. You already got it. You got it with 61. Okay, you guys. Manny won it. So, Manny, how old are you, buddy? Let's see here. Let's see if he says anything else. How old are you, buddy? Are you the one who's younger? I can't remember. I think you're the younger one. But in any event, yeah way. He goes, no way, yeah way, bro. You just won. He's 16. You guys, you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy to see it go to somebody, you know what I mean, who could really use it. I think that's really cool. Where are you from, Manny? Please don't be far away. Don't say the Netherlands. Don't be from Africa. Don't be from some far away place. Be from Florida. How about Miami? I'll just send it right over to somebody from Miami. Look, I could be there and like, man, you could come pick it up. All right, Manny. Let's see here. He is 16. And where are you from, buddy? I know that I'm on a little bit of a delay, but when I text, I think it's like right away. Yeah, that's a dope clipper. Yes, he's from the United States. It's not going to be that expensive to ship, and I'll be glad to cover the shipping. So that's great. I was just looking at your haircut, and I wasn't sure, because, you know, just looking at your haircut in the little picture, I wasn't sure if maybe you were from somewhere else or whatever. I couldn't get anything from it. So I'm super happy. Manny, you see this email address, masterprimetime@gmail.com? I want you to go ahead and send me your information, and I'll try to get this thing shipped out to you either tomorrow or the next day. So I'll be happy to ship that over. And I'm surprised MMA didn't join up in here. So I'll be happy to ship that over. And I'm glad that it's going to somebody as young as you. And you know what, man? I can say that I'll probably see a little bit of myself in you, man, because I started doing hair when I was in 11th grade. And I think I was 16. Yeah, you're 16 in 11th grade, so 16, 17, 18. I did it. Half of school was barbering, and the other half of school was high school. So it was about the same time we both will have started. So by the time you're my age, you'll have as much experience as I do. That it's inland. It's inland. Chev, how much is it to ship something to Chev? If she wins, she's gonna win one of these sooner or later. Ivy's won like 2-3 times. Jay Beats has won. Ricky, you know, he's ready to win one. He's in there. He's in there stunting. And then we got a UFC fight tonight too. Oh my goodness. Yo, I got a jet, man. I love you all. I gotta go watch Harry Potter with my son. I want to try to catch a little glimpse of that fight. So if my man falls asleep, it's all good. This is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber. Congratulations to Manny. I'll get that out to you soon, buddy. Give me your information, and I'll holler at you guys in my next live soon. Thank you. And if anybody didn't hit that thumb up on the way out, hit that thumb up. Like, subscribe, share, you know, all that jazz. I'll catch you.